Hey, what's up? It's Joe. Welcome to my 5 Minute Friday for February 16th. So, as you can tell, my voice is pretty rough right now. I actually had to take last week off from podcasting and writing because I was sick as a dog, and my voice just was not operating. So, I'm getting back on the mend, but my voice still sounds like crap. So, anyway, thanks for enduring uh, what I sound like right now. So, thing in my mind this week, was pretty stoked to see, what was it, Sora, OpenAI's new text prompt to 1080p video generator. Like, that thing is ridiculous. I'm excited to see where things go. It's, I think, awesome and slightly terrifying at the same time, but that's the world we live in. It seems like every week stuff like that comes out, but it felt like Sora was just a different level of cool and awe. So it's the first thing in my mind. And then there's the article from Tristan Handy. He's the CEO of DBT Labs and former founder of Fishtown Analytics, which is a company before DBT Labs, who came up with the wildly popular DBT package for data transformations. And Tristan had an article titled "Is the modern data stack still a useful idea?" Question mark. Subheading: My vote, no. That's what Tristan said. So, and I think this sparked quite a bit of debate and discussion within the data industry. I'm actually glad that Tristan wrote this article. It felt like the modern data stack had become something of almost a parody of itself. I think I was around when the modern data stack, well, before it was called the modern data stack, and we were talking about basically the agglomeration of cloud-based tools for the purpose of analytics, right? So this is a big departure from the if we kind of go back to the days before cloud analytical tools, you had basically, to get a data warehouse, for example, you'd have to buy pretty massive contracts from big vendors and get locked in, and it was just a pain in the butt, right? So and along comes, Amazon Redshift in 2012, and then the tooling that sprung up around that, right? So you had Fivetran and DBT and others that took advantage, and Looker as well, that were cloud native tools for the purpose of analytics and BI. And, and this ushered in the quote modern data stack, right? So I feel like this was a term that was sort of co-opted by and invented by the tooling companies I just mentioned, and nothing wrong with that. If you want to start a movement, you give it a name and you make it a movement, right? So that's what happened. And the modern data stack certainly, I think, served its purpose. But Tristan's punchline at the end of the day, all we're doing is analytics, right? So as he says, we help people do analytics. Our products are bought from analytics budget lines, and analytics is both a profession and a source of business value creation. And he goes on to say, calling our ecosystem the modern data stack is continually fighting the last war. But the cloud has won. All data companies are now cloud data companies. So let's move on. And I do agree with this. In fact, if I'm going to read a passage from Fundamentals of Data Engineering, Matt Housley and I actually wrote about this a while ago too, and I'll read about this. So it's in the chapter 11, talking about the future of data engineering. And what we talk about is basically moving beyond the modern data stack towards what we call the live data stack. But I'll read the first part here. Moving beyond the modern data stack is on page 389 if anyone has the hard copy. But quote, "We'll be frank, the modern data stack isn't so modern. We applaud the MDS for bringing a great selection of powerful data tools to the masses, lowering prices and empowering data analysts to take control of their data stack. The rise of ELT, cloud data warehouses, and the abstraction of SaaS data pipelines certainly changed the game for many companies, opening up new powers for BI, analytics, and data science. Having said that, the MDS is basically a repackaging of old data warehouse practices using modern cloud and SaaS technologies. Because the MDS is built around the cloud data warehouse paradigm, it has some serious limitations when compared to the potential of next generation real-time data applications. From our point of view, the world is moving beyond the use of data warehouse-based internal-facing analytics and data science towards powering entire businesses and applications in real time with next generation real-time databases, or what we jokingly call the live data stack. But that's a topic for another day. Let's get back to what Tristan was saying. The modern data stack certainly served its purpose. It faded into the woodwork, and I agree, it's time to kill the term. You can still feel free to use it if you want, but it was a term to describe something we'd been doing all along, which was analytics, right? You just happen to be doing it in a cloud platform with modular tools and that you could purchase with a credit card. So that model, the consumption model, is a much different paradigm than the one I described several minutes ago when you're talking about on-prem gnarly contracts you're getting into with the big vendors at the time, and that certainly changed the world nowadays. That you can spin up Snowflake or Redshift or whatever for basically nothing, right? It's super cheap. It's super easy to get set up. BigQuery as well. This, I think this is awesome, right? But like all terms, eventually they sort of fade away, right? It reminds me of if we're talking about when electricity came out or the internet, like we marveled at its capabilities, but I don't think anyone still says, "Oh, let's use the electricity to power our homes," or let's be sure and acknowledge the fact we're using the internet to in this case to listen to this podcast or communicate over chat. It just is what it is, and these I think it's called the diffusion of innovation, right? That just means that at some point innovation becomes widespread and official terms sort of become normalized and obsolete. And I feel like the modern data stack, even when we wrote that, it was 2.5 years ago almost, right? That was, we even recognized back then it was kind of on its way out. And I'm just glad that finally the leaders of the industry like Tristan are also acknowledging that it's time to move on. The modern data stack certainly served its purpose. And in the end, I think it won. It did what it set out to do, right? We're using the cloud for analytics. Bingo. That's the punchline. And so we can move on from the celebratory antics and move on to whatever's next, right? So I mentioned things like Sora. I'm excited about the potential of AI, but I also expect at some point AI will fade into the woodwork as a catch-all term for things, even though that seems to be more of a moving target, if we're honest with ourselves. AI has taken on a number of manifestations over several decades, and what we use to describe AI now is just generative AI. But even a few years ago, AI was meant to describe things that were more kind of classical classification and predictive use cases and so forth. So, the thing is, terms come and go, right? And so the modern data stack certainly served its purpose, and I think in the end it achieved its purpose. And like all good things, everything comes to an end at some point. So congratulations, modern data stack. You won. You did what you set out to do. And now it's time to move on. So in other news, what else is going on here? We're taking next week off. Just going to be writing a ton and doing some client work and content work. And then I'm off to Paris. I'll be there 27th and 28th for some little events there. And then Skiers and Data in Verbier, Switzerland. Thanks to Chris Tab and his team for putting together that event. I know it's a lot of work, but it should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to catching up with people there. Then off to Deep Fest and the Leap conference in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And then it looks like I'll be back in Salt Lake City for a week and then back to Paris for another conference, which I'll announce really soon. So anyway, travel. And this is how I get my voice sounding so wonderful right now. So anyway, I'm going to go do some writing, actually write an article about this podcast in a lot more detail. But there's a lot more to unpack here. I think I just sort of glossed over the my thoughts on Tristan's article. But again, I'm glad that he wrote it. I think it needed to be this topic of the modern data stack needed to be addressed. I mean, I kind of always hated the term modern data stack, to be honest. It just felt like anytime you use the word modern, you've already put a ticking an expiration date on yourself. But like I said, I think a lot of the players did what they needed to do. The modern data stack served its purpose. I don't think that anyone's going to go back to the good old days or the old days, I should say, of how we used to consume data tooling. And so in that respect, the modern data stack did its thing. And I applaud everyone for their contributions. And it's, again, looking forward to what's next, right? So anyway, hope you have a good weekend and we'll talk to you later. Bye.